It's Uncle Flippy here today. Hope everybody's having a great day. I want to talk to you today about conspiracy theories, how they form, how easy they are to create, all that kind of stuff. I think we've all encountered somebody who believes in a conspiracy theory along the way. How do people get sucked into this, and what makes a good conspiracy theory? Because no conspiracy theory is really good, but what makes one stick? I've been thinking about this a little bit, and the first point is it needs to be simple. It needs to be easy to explain. If there's 14 parts and 20 moving pieces, and it takes you an hour to sit down and explain it, it needs 2 hours of background knowledge just to get you to the point. People aren't going to buy in. So your conspiracy theory needs to be simple. You need to use the information from the people you're arguing against. So if you are arguing about climate change, you need to use their information. If you're arguing about COVID, you need to use the information that the public health authorities are using to convince you of something. If you're arguing about taxes, you need to use the government's information about taxes. You need to use their information. The information also needs to be verifiable. If you can't find the answers in Google, it's going to be really hard to convince somebody, because you can always just say Google it, and they'll find the facts that you laid out, and then they're like, oh yeah, maybe this person is correct. And it has to be quick to explain. If you can't explain this whole thing in under 5 minutes, preferably under 2 minutes, chances are people are going to tune out. And if you put all these things together, you get a really easy to accept idea. And this is how people get sucked into conspiracy theories, because I don't think most people want to, but all of a sudden it kind of sticks in their head that it makes sense. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go through an example of something that I kind of figured out in my own head that could be used as a conspiracy theory, and then we'll talk about it, okay? Okay, so here we're going to have a little example. On the left, I have CO2.earth, which tells us how much carbon dioxide there is in the world, in the atmosphere, and then on the right I have a simple spreadsheet. So if we look on the left, January 5th, 2022, 417.98 parts per million. So I'm just going to put that on the right, and I'll round it up to 418. So what does this show? This shows that currently in the Earth's atmosphere, there is 0.0418% is carbon dioxide. Is this good? Is this bad? Well, let's take a look. First of all, most prevalent in the Earth's atmosphere is nitrogen, which is about 78%. Make that a 7. Okay, then the next most common is oxygen. And it's at about 21%. After that, we have argon, which is equal to about 1%. And then below that, we have trace gases, which is everything else, which, if you add it up, is about 1%. Of which this 0.0418%, so we're talking just over 4/100ths of 1%, is CO2, which is included in that 1%. So if the Earth's atmosphere is 78% nitrogen and 21% oxygen, how could less than 5/100ths of 1% matter? How can it matter? This is such a small number. Who cares if it's twice as much as it used to be? It's nowhere near this. It's nowhere near this. It isn't even anywhere near argon, and most people don't even know what argon is. So let's think about it for a minute. If we take this, oh, if we take this number over here on the left and import it in right there, that's 1 million parts right there. So 418 parts per million. Carbon dioxide just doesn't matter. As you can see, from what I just put together, it was really simple. The facts, you can easily find them on Google. You can look up the composition of the atmosphere, no problem, right? I used the other side's info, talked about how much carbon dioxide was actually in the atmosphere today. That's the big crux of the argument. It's verifiable. Everything it got came from the internet. And it was quick to explain. It only took me a couple of minutes to explain the whole thing. Here's the thing. I don't know if that whole theory is any good or if it's complete bunk. Most of it I thought up while sitting on an exercise bike at the gym riding. Didn't really do any scientific digging into it. Didn't think about, like, there's nothing about that you should take seriously. It could be true, but I very much doubt it. I don't have formal education in climatology. Everything I know about the weather is from the perspective of a pilot. What's the weather doing today, and how will that impact how I fly through it? That's what I know about weather. I don't know if doubling the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere matters or it doesn't matter. I don't have that knowledge. I haven't taken science since high school. I went to university for business. I had to take some math, but I never took another physics, chemistry, or biology course once I got to university. I am not a source that you should be listening to on this at all. But you have to admit, it is somewhat of a convincing argument. So you got to watch out for these things. You got to pay attention. And you know what? When somebody's spewing off stuff that sounds a little too simple to be true, maybe it isn't, but there's a pretty good chance it is. I'm Uncle Flippy. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Have a great day.